How does a plan to lock in the perfect relationship end with you losing everything? Labeled the villain in your own story. That's the question I wrestle with at 26, sitting in my old bedroom at my mom's place, the faint scent of her lavender candles mingling with the sting of regret. I'm Christina, a marketing assistant in Chicago, once confident I'd cracked the code on dating, only to watch it explode spectacularly. 2 years ago, after a brutal breakup left me wary, I was living my life, going out, meeting guys, keeping things light to avoid another heartbreak. Then I met Gavin at my friend Jess's house party, and everything shifted. He stood out, calm and thoughtful amidst the chaos of drunken laughter, sparking a connection that felt like it could be my forever. But my strategy to play the wifey material card, holding back to make him value me, backfired when he learned I wasn't as exclusive as I seemed, unraveling a future I thought was mine and leaving me to pick up the pieces of a miscalculated dream. The party was a blur of music and spilled drinks, the air thick with the scent of beer and summer sweat. Jess's apartment buzzed with her usual eclectic crowd, guys shouting over video games, girls laughing on the balcony. But Gavin caught my eye immediately. He wasn't loud or showy, just leaning against the kitchen counter, sipping a soda, talking to a friend about travel. His calm energy was a breath of fresh air after the immature types I'd dodged. I wandered over, drawn by his quiet laugh, and we talked for hours, work struggles, favorite cities, family quirks. He was a 28-year-old software developer, funny without trying, asking follow-up questions like he cared about my answers, not just waiting for his turn to speak. By the end of the night, my cheeks ached from smiling, and when he asked for my number, I gave it without my usual games, something about his sincerity making me want to be real. The next day, his text came. Casual, not pushy. Had fun talking? Coffee this week? We met at a cozy cafe downtown, the aroma of roasted beans wrapping around us as we talked for 3 hours. No awkward pauses, just easy stories and laughter. He shared tales of coding mishaps, I vented about marketing deadlines, and it felt like we'd known each other forever. When he walked me to my car, the city's evening hum in the background, he didn't push for a kiss or an invite, just said, "I had a great time. Let's do this again." His restraint was refreshing, different from the guys who rushed to the physical, and it sparked a decision that shaped everything. Gavin wasn't just another date. He was boyfriend material. Maybe even marriage material. I'd learned from past mistakes. Jumping into bed too soon often led to guys ghosting or treating me like I was disposable. My last relationship, a year-long roller coaster with a guy who bailed when things got serious, taught me men don't value what comes easy. So I crafted a plan with Gavin. I'd make him wait, show him I was worth more than a fling, the kind of woman he'd take home to his family. Our second date was dinner at a charming bistro, fairy lights twinkling outside, where he opened doors and pulled out my chair, asking about my day with genuine interest. When he drove me home, the car's leather seats cool under my hands. I could tell he wanted to come up, but I used my practiced line, "I really like you, so I want to take things slow." His disappointment softened to a nod. I respect that. And his goodnight kiss, soft, lingering, left me buzzing, convinced my strategy was gold. We fell into a rhythm over weeks. Dates at nice places, long talks about dreams and fears, his texts every morning a warm start to my day. He remembered details like my love for Italian food and planned dates around it, the scent of garlic bread filling cozy restaurants. My friends, Jessa included, noticed his attentiveness, teasing, "He's smitten." I kept things physical at bay, shutting down heated moments with a smile, reinforcing my serious image. But I wasn't celibate. I still saw Marcus, a casual fling from before, and occasionally matched with app guys when bored, justifying it since Gavin and I weren't exclusive. I was careful, never posting, never mentioning them, presenting myself as the slow-moving girl he praised for valuing connection over rush. My additions deepened the stakes. Jessa, at the party, whispered Gavin was different, her wine glass clinking as she urged me to lock him in, planting the seed for my plan. Marcus, a carefree bartender, texted me post-date, his casual invites a secret thrill I hid from Gavin. A coworker's story of losing a guy by moving too fast cemented my strategy, her words echoing in our office's coffee-scented break room. These moments fueled my confidence, but Gavin's growing hints at commitment, talk of meeting friends, future plans, set a stage for a truth I hadn't anticipated, one that would unravel my carefully crafted image in a single night. The spark I felt with Gavin at Jess's party and our first coffee date grew into a flame I was determined to nurture, but only on my terms, carefully crafting an image that would make him see me as more than a fling. I was 26, a marketing assistant in Chicago, my days filled with campaign deadlines and the hum of office printers, my nights buzzing with the thrill of a plan to make Gavin value me as wifey material. After a string of failed relationships where moving too fast led to heartbreak, I'd learned men don't cherish what's easily won. Gavin's calm sincerity, his thoughtful questions, his restraint, convinced me he was worth the long game, someone I could build a future with, maybe even a family. But to secure that, I had to play it smart, holding back physically, while letting our emotional connection deepen, all while quietly maintaining casual flings to meet my own needs. It was a delicate balance, one I thought I'd mastered, but the tightrope I walked was shakier than I realized, setting the stage for a fall I never saw coming. Our second date at a charming bistro downtown, fairy lights twinkling outside, solidified my strategy. Gavin was a gentleman, opening doors, pulling out my chair, asking about my latest marketing project with genuine interest. His voice warm over the clink of wine glasses. The scent of garlic bread filled the air as we laughed about our worst travel mishaps, his story of a missed flight making me snort into my pasta. When he drove me home, the city's neon lights reflecting off his car's dashboard, I could tell he wanted to come up, his hand lingering on the gear shift. I leaned in, delivering my line with a soft smile. "I really like you, Gavin, so I want to take things slow. This feels special." His disappointment flickered, then softened to understanding. "I feel the same," he said, his goodnight kiss gentle but electric, leaving me buzzing as his taillights faded. I felt triumphant. My plan was working perfectly. Over the next few weeks, we fell into a rhythm of dates. Cozy restaurants, walks along Lake Michigan where the water's chill mixed with his warm laugh, movie nights at indie theaters smelling of popcorn. Gavin texted good morning daily, each message a spark that lit my day, remembering details like my love for spicy food or my stress over a client pitch. He'd call just to chat, his voice steady through my phone as I curled up on my couch, the city humming outside. Our makeout sessions grew intense, his hands hesitant but eager, but I gently shut things down, citing my desire to build something real. Each time he'd nod, respecting my boundaries without guilt-tripping me, his patience making me feel more valuable, like I was a prize he was earning. Meanwhile, I wasn't abstaining entirely. Before Gavin, I'd been casually seeing Marcus, a bartender with a carefree grin, our hookups fun but fleeting, no strings attached. I kept these going, meeting him at dive bars where the jukebox blared and beer foam clung to glasses, or swiping on apps for occasional dates when boredom hit. It wasn't cheating. Gavin and I hadn't agreed to exclusivity, and I was meticulous about keeping it secret, never posting on social media, never mentioning it. To him, I was the girl who valued emotional connection over physical rush, and he bought it, praising my approach over dinner, saying, "You're different, Christina. I love that you're not in a hurry." His words were validation, proof my strategy was gold, making him want me more because he couldn't have all of me yet. But the physical tension was building. By month 2, Gavin's hints grew bolder, suggesting nights at his place, his apartment's clean lines and coffee scent tempting, or planning intimate dinners where candles flickered. I could see the effort it took him to stay patient, his eyes lingering when we kissed, the air charged. I stuck to vague responses, our connection's growing, let's not rush it, keeping the brakes on, though I was feeling the strain too. Gavin was gorgeous, and the anticipation drove me wild, but I held firm, believing the longer I waited, the more he'd cherish me. He started leaving small things at my place, a hoodie, a book, talking about weekend trips, hinting at meeting his friends, signs he was falling hard, exactly as planned. My additions enriched the stakes. Jessa, over wine at her place, cheered my strategy, her "he's hooked" fueling my confidence, the glass clinking as we toasted. Marcus sent late-night texts, his casual invites a secret thrill I hid, meeting him in a bar's smoky haze. A coworker's tale of a rushed fling ending in ghosting reinforced my plan, her words in our office's break room echoing my fears. I kept a journal, noting Gavin's sweet gestures, like a coffee he brought to my work, its warmth, a reminder of his investment. These threads tightened my resolve, but Gavin's growing hints at commitment, casual mentions of holidays together, set a stage where my carefully curated image teetered, unaware that one honest moment would bring it crashing down. The rhythm Gavin and I had built over those first few weeks felt like a dance I was choreographing perfectly, each step calculated to make him see me as the woman worth committing to, not just another fling. I was 26, a marketing assistant in Chicago, my days buzzing with client pitches in a downtown office where coffee machine hisses and printer hums were a constant backdrop. Nights were for Gavin, cozy dinners, lakeside walks, indie theater dates where popcorn's buttery scent mingled with his warm laugh. My plan to hold back physically while deepening our emotional bond was working. His daily texts, thoughtful questions, and patient respect for my boundaries made me feel like a prize he was earning. But I wasn't living like a nun. I still saw Marcus for casual hookups, their dive bar meetups a secret thrill, and swiped on apps for occasional flings, all hidden from Gavin to maintain my serious image. The balance was delicate, a tightrope I thought I walked with finesse, but the growing intensity of our connection was about to test the strength of my carefully crafted facade. Our dates grew richer, each one layering our bond. At a Thai restaurant, the spicy aroma of curry swirling around us, Gavin shared stories of coding bugs that made me laugh until my sides ached, his eyes lighting up as he asked about my latest campaign flop. He'd text good morning, each message a spark in my inbox, remembering I loved Italian food and planning dates at trattorias where candlelight danced on checkered tablecloths. Our makeout sessions were electric, his apartment couch, soft under my hands, the air charged as we kissed, his hesitation clear when I'd pull back with a smile saying, "Let's keep this special." He'd nod, respecting my pace, his, "I love how you think," a validation that my strategy was gold. Friends like Jessa noticed, teasing over wine at her place. "He's smitten, Christina," her glass clinking as she toasted my success. But I kept my other life separate. Marcus, the bartender, was a fun distraction. Late nights at bars where jukeboxes blared, his carefree grin a contrast to Gavin's depth. I'd meet him when Gavin was busy, slipping away to dimly lit booths, beer foam clinging to glasses, never posting about it, never letting it bleed into my time with Gavin. App matches filled bored evenings, quick coffee dates in cafes where espresso machines hissed, their interest fleeting but enough to keep me grounded. It wasn't cheating. We hadn't defined exclusivity, and I was careful, keeping my phone locked, my social media clean, presenting myself as the slow-moving girl Gavin praised. "You're different," he'd say over dinner, his voice warm as we split dessert, not rushing like others. Each compliment fueled my confidence, proof he was falling for the image I'd built. By month 2, the tension was palpable. Gavin's hints at deeper commitment grew, suggesting I meet his coworkers, planning a weekend hike, his apartment's coffee scent tempting as he cooked for me. Our kisses grew hungrier, his hands lingering, but I'd ease back, saying, "Our connection's worth waiting for." I could see his effort to stay patient, his eyes darkening with want, but he respected my boundaries, making me feel more valuable. I was getting antsy too. Gavin was gorgeous, the anticipation driving me wild. But I stuck to my plan, believing the wait would make him cherish me more. He started leaving things at my place, a hoodie, a tech magazine, talking about holidays together, his "we" a sign he was ready to call me his girlfriend. The physical strain showed, though. His invites to stay over, his apartment's clean lines and warm lighting calling, tested my resolve. I'd deflect with vague promises, soon, when it feels right, keeping the brakes on. Jessa, over coffee, cheered my control. "You're playing this perfectly." Her mug steaming as we laughed. But I sensed a tipping point. Gavin's patience was a thread stretching thin, his hints at exclusivity growing bolder, like asking what I was doing for Christmas. I was confident, certain my strategy was locking him in, but unaware that my secret flings were a fault line under our budding romance. My additions deepened the stakes. Marcus texted one night post-date with Gavin, his "come over," tempting as I sat in my apartment, city lights glinting outside, but I kept it hidden. A coworker's story of a guy who valued her restraint in dating echoed my plan, her words in the break room's fluorescent glow reinforcing my path. I kept a notebook, jotting Gavin's sweet gestures, like a playlist he made for our drives, songs echoing our talks, proof of his investment. Jess's party friend who'd introduced us checked in, saying Gavin raved about me, boosting my ego. These threads tightened my resolve, but Gavin's growing seriousness, his casual mentions of meeting his family, set a stage where one misstep could unravel everything, a truth I'd soon face in a single, devastating conversation. The delicate dance of my relationship with Gavin was reaching a crescendo, each date weaving us closer. His investment in me, growing like a vine I'd carefully tended. I was 26, a marketing assistant in Chicago, my days filled with campaign deadlines and the hum of office printers, my nights aglow with Gavin's attentiveness. Dinners at cozy bistros, walks along Lake Michigan, where the water's chill mingled with his warm laugh. My plan to hold back physically, to present myself as wifey material, had him hooked. His daily texts and thoughtful gestures, proof he saw me as more than a fling. But I wasn't living a nun's life. Marcus, my casual hookup, and occasional app matches kept my needs met, all hidden to maintain the image I'd crafted for Gavin. By month 3, his hints at commitment were unmistakable, and I was certain my strategy was paying off, poised to lock in the future I'd dreamed of. Yet, the tension of my double life was a tightrope, and one misstep at a pivotal dinner was about to send it all crashing down. Gavin's hints had grown bolder. Casual mentions of meeting his coworkers, planning a weekend hike, asking what I was doing for the holidays. His apartment, where we'd cooked together, smelled of coffee and fresh herbs, its clean lines tempting me to stay longer. He'd left a hoodie at my place, a tech magazine on my coffee table, signs he was thinking girlfriend. Our makeout sessions were intense, his hands lingering on my waist, the air charged as we kissed on his couch, but I'd pull back, smiling. Let's keep this special. He'd nod, his eyes dark with want but respectful, saying, I love how you're not rushing. Friends like Jessa noticed, teasing over wine at her place. He's practically proposing, her glass clinking as she cheered my control. I felt triumphant, my plan making him value me more each day, but I kept my other life airtight. Marcus, the bartender, was a fun escape. Late nights at dive bars, jukebox music blaring, his grin a no-strings thrill I kept from Gavin. App dates filled bored evenings, quick coffees in cafes where espresso machines hissed, their interest fleeting but enough to keep me grounded. I was meticulous, never posting, never mentioning them, my phone locked to hide texts. To Gavin, I was the girl who valued emotional connection, and he bought it, saying over dinner, "You're different, Christina. I appreciate how you build things right." Each compliment was a brick in my perfect image, proof he was falling hard, exactly as I'd planned. 3.5 months in, I was riding high, confident we were nearing exclusivity. That Friday, Gavin invited me to cook dinner at his place, a cozy setup with a bottle of wine he'd saved, his apartment spotless, the air rich with garlic and anticipation. He gave me looks all night, like he had something big to say, and I prepped mentally for the girlfriend talk, my heart racing as we chopped vegetables, knives clicking on the cutting board. The conversation flowed. Work, dreams, then somehow veered to dating histories, a topic we hadn't fully explored. It started light, Gavin sharing funny ex-stories, his laugh warm as we sipped wine. He asked about my past, curious, not pushy, and the wine loosened my tongue. Feeling close, I opened up about being single for 2 years, focusing on what I wanted, someone real like him. Then he asked, "How'd you handle being single so long?" His tone was gentle, but I saw a chance to be honest, thinking he'd appreciate my candor. "I had some casual arrangements," I said, keeping it light. "Just friends with benefits, nothing serious." His expression shifted, subtle, a tightening in his jaw. I tried to breeze past, laughing. "The past is the past, right?" But he pressed, "Recent ones, while we've been dating?" My stomach dropped, his voice controlled but sharp, like he was piecing together a puzzle. I could have lied, but the wine and his gaze pinned me. "Yeah, some overlap," I admitted, "but it's not a big deal. We're not exclusive." The kitchen went quiet, the sizzle of the stove loud as he processed, his eyes narrowing. I tried to explain. Those were physical, meaningless, unlike our emotional bond, which was why I'd waited with him. But Gavin's face hardened. "You said you wanted to go slow because you liked me," he said, voice low. "But you didn't with other guys?" I insisted it was different, that I respected him too much to rush, but he wasn't buying it, asking how many, how recent, if I still talked to them. Each question felt like a trap, his disappointment clear in the kitchen's dim light. I redirected, saying, "What we have is real." But he shook his head, furrowed. "You're telling me you respect me so much you won't sleep with me, but you will with guys you barely know?" The accusation stung, unraveling months of careful planning in one honest moment. My additions intensified the moment. Jessa's earlier text, "He's gonna propose soon," flashed in my mind, mocking my misstep. Marcus had texted that day, his invite ignored, but looming as evidence of my secret. A coworker's warning about oversharing dating pasts echoed in the cafe's hum, too late to heed. The wine bottle, half empty, glinted like a witness to my mistake. These threads underscored the fragility of my plan, as Gavin's withdrawal in that kitchen set the stage for a confrontation that would shatter my carefully built future. The kitchen conversation with Gavin was like watching a house of cards collapse in slow motion. Each word I spoke toppling the image I'd so carefully built over 3.5 months. I was 26, a marketing assistant in Chicago, my days filled with campaign deadlines and the hum of office printers, my nights once bright with the thrill of Gavin's growing affection, now dimmed by the tension in his apartment. The air, heavy with the scent of garlic and wine, turned suffocating as his questions, sharp, probing, unraveled my plan to be wifey material. I'd held back physically to make him value me, while secretly seeing Marcus and others to meet my needs, believing my non-exclusive status justified it. But Gavin's discovery of my casual flings during our dating shook him. His disappointment a tangible weight in the flickering candlelight. Desperate to salvage what we'd built, I tried to bridge the gap, but his emotional withdrawal signaled a fracture I wasn't sure I could mend, setting the stage for a confrontation that would end us. I stood in his kitchen, the stove's sizzle fading as I scrambled to explain. "Those guys were just physical, meaningless," I said, my voice unsteady, wine glass cool in my hand. "What we have is real, Gavin. That's why I wanted to wait." But his eyes, usually warm, were cold, his jaw tight as he leaned against the counter. "You said you were taking it slow because you liked me," he replied, voice flat but edged with anger. "But you didn't with them. How does that work?" I tried to clarify. Those flings were separate, no threat to our emotional bond, but he pressed, asking how many, how recent, if I still talked to them. Each question felt like a nail in the coffin of my strategy, his disappointment carving a chasm between us. "You respect me so much you won't sleep with me, but you will with guys you barely know?" he asked, the words slicing through the quiet. Panicking, I moved closer, hands on his arms, the fabric of his shirt soft under my fingers. "Maybe we've waited long enough," I said, voice soft, thinking intimacy could bridge the gap. "I'm ready if you are." But he stepped back, his look one of betrayal, not relief. "Now you're ready?" he said, almost a scoff. "Right after I find this out? It feels like you're offering because you got caught, not because you want me." I insisted it was about our connection, but he wasn't buying it. His body language, arms crossed, eyes averted, screaming he'd already pulled away. The kitchen's warmth, once cozy, felt stifling, the wine bottle half empty on the counter a silent witness to my misstep. Desperate, I kept talking, trying to redirect to our potential. "What we have is special," I said, heart racing, worth protecting. But Gavin stayed quiet, his silence heavier than any argument. Finally, he spoke, voice flat. "I think you should go home. I need time to think." The words landed like a punch, the apartment's door clicking shut behind me as I left, city lights blurring through tears. I barely slept, replaying the conversation in my dim bedroom, the hum of Chicago outside mocking my failure. Why was he making this a big deal? I'd been honest when asked. An adult with needs, not exclusive with him yet. But his reaction, his hurt, made me question if I'd misjudged everything. Over the weekend, I gave him space, hoping he'd cool off, but Monday's text, "Can we talk like adults?" got a curt reply, his usual warmth gone. Tuesday, I called during lunch, the office break room's coffee scent grounding me, but he didn't answer. Another text, "I understand you're confused, let's meet," met with, "Need more time." By Friday, his silence was unbearable. I drove to his place after work, the city's dusk casting long shadows, determined to fix this. He opened the door looking tired, defeated, not angry, somehow worse. I launched into a speech in his living room, the couch's fabric familiar from our movie nights, saying he was overreacting, that our connection was worth fighting for, that I'd taken things slow to honor it. I was trying to do this right, I pleaded, voice breaking. Gavin listened, his coffee table cluttered with tech magazines, then spoke, voice steady but final. We don't want the same things, Christina. I respect your choices, but I can't be with someone who operates like this. Nothing I said about our months together, our potential, swayed him. He was polite but firm, his decision made. I left, the doors click final, knowing I'd lost him to his insecurities, not my actions. 3.5 months of building something real, gone because he couldn't handle my honesty. My additions deepened the fallout. Jess's text post-fight, "Give him time," felt hollow as I stared at my phone, city traffic humming outside. Marcus's casual invite that night, ignored, underscored my isolation. A coworker's story of a breakup over similar honesty, shared over lunch, mirrored my fears. The wine bottle from Gavin's, left on my counter, mocked my plan's collapse. These threads framed my desperation, as his withdrawal marked the end, pushing me toward a reckoning with the consequences of my strategy and the pain of a future lost. The door clicking shut behind me at Gavin's apartment was like the sound of my carefully built world collapsing, each echo a reminder of how my plan to be wifey material had backfired spectacularly. I was 26, a marketing assistant in Chicago. My days once filled with the buzz of campaign deadlines and the promise of Gavin's attentive texts, now shadowed by the sting of his rejection. That night in his kitchen, where the scent of garlic and wine had turned bitter with his questions, I tried to salvage our connection, insisting my casual flings with Marcus and others were meaningless compared to our emotional bond. But Gavin's cold insistence that we wanted different things left me driving home through Chicago's neon-lit streets, tears blurring the city's glow, knowing I'd lost him to his inability to accept my honesty. The days that followed were a desperate scramble to repair the damage. But his silence grew louder, and the fallout, social, emotional, and personal, began to reshape my life in ways I hadn't anticipated, pushing me toward a reckoning with the choices that led to this unraveling. I gave Gavin the weekend to cool off, hoping his hurt would fade, but my Monday text, "Can we talk like adults?" met a short, distant reply. Nothing like his usual warm messages. The office break room, with its coffee machine hissing and fluorescent lights glaring, felt like a cage as I stared at my phone, willing him to respond. Tuesday, I called during lunch, the clatter of trays around me amplifying my nerves, but he didn't answer. Another text. "I know you're confused. Let's meet. Got a Kurt. Need more time." By Friday, a week after the disastrous dinner, his silence was unbearable, a void louder than any argument. I drove to his apartment after work, the city's dusk casting long shadows on the pavement, determined to face him. He opened the door looking exhausted, not angry but defeated, his eyes avoiding mine as he stepped aside. "We need to talk," I said, my voice shaking as I entered his living room, the familiar couch and tech magazines now alien under the dim lamp's glow. I launched into a speech, pacing the hardwood floor, the air heavy with the scent of his coffee. "You're overreacting, Gavin," I insisted, heart pounding. "I was honest when you asked. Those guys were nothing, physical, not emotional. What we have is real, worth fighting for. I took things slow to show you I'm serious." He listened, arms crossed, his silence a wall I couldn't breach. When he spoke, his voice was flat, resolute. "We don't want the same things, Christina. I respect your choices, but I can't be with someone who operates like this." I argued our months together, the connection we'd built, but nothing swayed him. He was polite but firm, his decision final, like a door slamming shut. "I think you should go," he said again, and I left, the city's hum swallowing my tears, knowing I'd lost him to his own rigid expectations. The aftermath was brutal. Word spread through our mutual friends, Jessa included, about our breakup. Gavin's version painting me as dishonest, a girl playing games while he'd been all in. At a bar meetup, the jukebox blaring and beer foam clinging to glasses, friends gave me sidelong glances, their whispers cutting through the noise. "He said you were seeing other guys the whole time," one said, her tone sharp. I tried explaining. We weren't exclusive. I was building something real. But they'd chosen sides. Gavin, the good guy, hurt by my deception. Jessa stayed neutral but distant, her texts shorter, our wine nights canceled. My social circle shrank, the city's vibrant pulse now isolating. Each night in my apartment, with its creaky floors and takeout cartons, a reminder of my misstep. Work suffered too. My boss noticed my distraction, my latest campaign flopping under the weight of sleepless nights, the office's fluorescent lights harsh on my tired eyes, a coworker's pitying look as I fumbled a presentation stung worse than criticism. Dating was a dead end. Marcus ghosted after hearing I was single, his texts drying up, and app matches fizzled, men less interested without the thrill of a taken woman.